days from now, we'll be celebrating World Poetry Day. And 3 days ago, we celebrated the life of a legend. I'm talking about Professor Atukwei Okai. And today we're all going to remember who he was, the legacy he left behind, and why we should all be inspired by his life and his works to carry on the passion of this country and the continent. I have two beautiful women here with me, Klocho Okai as well as Kloko Okai Mills. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you both doing?
We're doing well.
You look beautiful.
Thank you for having us.
So do you.
Please tell us a bit. I mean, we all know your dad as a man who was larger than life. But what was he like as a dad?
Daddy, he was a wonderful father. I mean, first of all, I think he got his humanity from just his connection to God. And so that's what shaped his humanity. So that made him humble, it made him reachable. He was so down to earth. And at the same time, he was able to straddle, let's call it his work and family life. And so we didn't feel like we didn't have dad. Even though he was extremely busy, he was able to be so involved in our lives, you know. He would attend all our school events.
Wow.
You know, he would be PTA chairman when it was her turn, when it was my turn, you know. And at some point, he went back to school with you.
Yes.
How was that like?
My older sister and I went to Wesley Girls, and 20 years out of school, 2016, and we went back, you know, to do the speech day as is customary for the particular year group in question. Well, he and my mom really were the only parents who accompanied us the rest of our year group to the speech. They stayed the whole weekend, participated. Wow. And at this point, I you know, okay, not to name ages, but I was 36. Okay. So this is not him taking us to school when we're going to Wesley Girls when we're 13. 20 years later, he was still there, you know, in his, you know, gray hair, you know, white, but he was a wonderful dad.
Yes.
And very attentive, would always tell you, you know, give off your best. It doesn't matter what, just give off your best and you'll be fine.
Yes.
Yes,
you know,
we miss him.
So let's just say for us, we had a first row seat to watching him live out every virtue that he espoused. And so we saw rather than had to be told, you know, how he related to everyone. He was so humble. He was friends with cleaners as well as presidents, you know. And for us, these values have kept us even now that he's not here. We feel like he's a voice over our shoulders. He's not here, but we still hear him. You know, we still feel his presence, and it guides us through life. It's like a guiding light in everything that we do. We have these values still present, and I think we were very lucky to have him. You know, we shared him with the world, but at the end of the day, he was dad to us. And there are 5 of us, 5 girls. But somehow he made each of us feel very special. He had a special connection to each of his daughters. And Daddy loved his girls.
He was very self-sacrificing.
Yes.
Really. And sometimes we joke that sometimes we thought we got sacrificed a bit too much. But I mean, you know, that she said, we shared him with the world. We understood that he was ours, but he also belonged, to the world. And sometimes I wonder how he managed to navigate a house full of women, because he was the only man, 5 girls. But he did it so diplomatically.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
And there's a documentary that you guys have that we'll be taking a look at shortly.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
But we want to read some of his pieces.
Oh,
and also encourage you guys. World Poetry Day is 3 days away from today.
Yes.
We need to get out there and get some of his work to remind the next generation of this rich contribution he gave not only Ghana, but the continent and the world.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So,
you know, he wrote children's books as well as adult books. I'm not sure some people are not too familiar sometimes with the kids' book. So there's one that is The Antelope in the Sea. This was the first edition printed.
Yes.
And then there are the other 2 that Mancho has. Which one do you have?
I have a pawpaw on a mango tree. And
a
slim queen in a palanquin.
That's classic Atukwei.
Yes, always with a play on words.
Right. We grew up learning, in fact, he will tell you that we inspired these verses.
Yes.
Wow.
So we grew up learning them, and my mom put them to music.
Yes.
So we're going to do
you can recite them in the spoken word and you can do the chants.
Please
as
give us
well.
all.
So we'll do.
You can go with Until in the Sea.
The Until in the Sea.
Yes.
This is I Do Want to Go to Sea, right? So we'll do this one. This one we're doing.
I do want to go to sea for all the fish I must see. I do want to sting the bee like an anthill in the sea.
I do want to go to sea for all the fish I must see. I do want to sting the bee like an anthill in the sea. I do want to go to sea for all the fish I must see. I do want to sting the bee like an anthill in the sea. And we can do a quick second one.
Wait, hold on. But
Okay.
how important is it for children? Because they see it as fun, but the
Yes.
message that they are getting.
And that was his biggest thing, because he wrote these books for us, like we said, because he said to us that when we were growing up, he and my mom had gone out to look for children's books for us, and everything had a foreign theme.
Right.
And so he said to himself, well, I'm a writer, so what should I do? Write books for the
and he
children.
took up the challenge.
Yes.
Because nothing says better than walking to a bookshop and seeing poems written by an African for African children.
Yes.
Of course, can be read by all children. But
Yes.
indeed, so that was his goal,
With
to
African
bring home
imagery and
exactly
the
'Cause
animals
if you buy
that
the
are
books, if you open them up, with the camera, very colorful, very
Beautiful.
vibrant. He wrote across, different topics which all
Yes.
kids can relate to.
Wow.
And
What's the
you
next
know,
one?
okay.
We're going to do another one.
The hen is in
the
her
hen
pen.
is in her pen.
Okay.
that one we'll just sing.
Yes.
Okay.
The
The hen is in her pen, the birds have flown away, the good moon knows just when to come for us to play. My fingers number 10, they mold my lovely clay. My eyes are two, but then they see all night and day. They see all night and day.
So as she mentioned, these songs were actually composed by my
My
mom.
mom.
For
How?
poetry.
How did that work?
The musical,
He wrote the
It's a musical family.
it must be,
I
yes.
think
So my
she's an
mom
artist
actually,
as well.
yeah, my mom actually, did the music to the point, but he wrote the words.
Yes.
So we have to give her credit.
Yeah, so we used to
Amazing.
perform these
Growing up.
pieces to them growing up. And
Yes.
whenever he would come home from work, would be in an acting mode.
Moods, yes.
And would
We'll
bring-
close the door and
yes.
put the cloth and come out and they
perform.
really, and so he was present enough to encourage us,
Yeah.
to be ourselves, to express ourselves, and I think that shaped us obviously growing up.
Yes.
And the whole country and the world gets to experience that through his work.
Absolutely.
Right now, we're dealing with a pandemic. A lot of families are, everybody's just gloomy. How important is it for us to have works like this to really bond with our families?
It's very critical
Yes.
because as Dad espoused and as he said in various interviews, he as a writer and other writers come to writing with a sense of liberating the minds of the African, whether it's adults or children. He had a sense of urgency. He believed that we've been educated away from ourselves. It is the duty of the writer to educate us back to who we are. So for him, as a student, if when you're coming to African works, he would say that you should come to it with having questions, thoughts. Who am I? Do I accept who I am? Why am I where I am? Challenge the status quo. Sort of think beyond what is being presented to you. And that was something that was very important to him, and he tried to manifest that in his works.
Yes. So as she said, I mean, his poetry, the main aim of his poetry, as we've been told by him, was to totally liberate the consciousness of the African people. And so you'd see that most of the things he wrote about was around the theme of being African and why you should have your pride in being African, our way of life, the clothes we wear, the food that we even have. And so that we can celebrate what is uniquely ours and reject every ideal and thought that being African is not enough, or
Right.
that minimizes the role that Africans have to play in, the global space. And so I believe that's what he sought to achieve. Of course, he wrote about other themes. He wrote about love, and he was inspired by just life, all the experiences he had had. But at the bottom of it all was his
consciousness to liberate the
yes.
African.
We're going to bring you guys back later to talk about the different pieces, break
Sure.
it down, what it means to us. But I want all of our viewers to go to his social media handle
Absolutely.
and watch this beautiful documentary
Yes.
that you've done to celebrate his 80th anniversary.
Yes.
Where do we follow him on social
So
media?
he's on, yes, he is on IG.
No, he's not him, but
The
Yeah.
man, his work and
His work,
everything
yes.
is on IG at prof.atukwei Okai. So prof.atukwei and
can find
they
it on
should
there.
find it on the
IGTV.
IGTV.
Yes.
Okay. And everyone will love it. They really should look for it because this was a way to re-echo the voice,
It was
the
a labor of
consummate-
love.
Yes.
And our family members, in the diaspora, where can they get the books as well as us here in Ghana?
Well, so Mandela the Spear, for example, is on Amazon.
Nice.
In Ghana, various bookshops carry the books. The Gun Bookshop, I know they have copies. Some have gone out of print, so we're working to reissue them.
Yes.
But there are a few that you can still find in different bookshops around Accra, really. But the Gun Bookshop, for sure, I know they do have copies for purchase.
I should mention that, you know, apart from his poetry, he did a lot of speeches and writings on, as we mentioned, the theme around Africa. And so that's part of what we are doing to continue the legacy. We're collating these things and we'll make them available to the public, you know, even to schools. So
next week is Ghana Week here on Breakfast Daily.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you come back, because we were even talking about his contribution to the Ghana people.
Correct.
In the Greater Accra region.
Correct.
And then we'll show pieces of the documentary throughout the week next week. So you guys don't
That's awesome.
Thank you, ladies, so much for being with us. It's been an absolute
Thank you.
pleasure.